Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady. Welcome back. We are just going to jump right in and get our expert guest here, Josef, to tell us more information and share with us some resume writing secrets from a pro. Hey Josef, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. And again, thank you for this opportunity to share a little bit of my wisdom.
Absolutely. I think JC actually has some stats that he wants to share first.
Absolutely, Wendy. Approximately 50% of employers report difficulty in filling positions due to a mismatch between the skills that they need and the skills available in the workforce. In 2024, the importance of optimizing resumes for applicant tracking systems, ATS, you may have heard of that acronym, it cannot be overstated, with estimates suggesting that over 75% of resumes are never seen by human eyes. Back to you.
Yep. Yeah, I think Josef, you kind of mentioned this, right?
After 9/11, I was downsized from Fidelity Investments, and I went to apply for Invesco. And HR is looking at my resume and goes, it's great that you're licensed. It's great that you've kind of worked in the back office correcting all the mistakes that financial advisors might make on the transactions with mutual funds. But have you ever worked in a call center? And I said, if you flip to page 2 of my resume, I actually worked in your call center for 6 months, right? So,
oh my goodness.
So there is a level where you have to understand that, you know, even recruiters are human. They make mistakes. There's good and there's bad in every industry. Since we're talking about resumes, I personally hate cookie cutter black and white resumes. You know, if you remember the movie Legally Blonde, when Elle Woods or Reese Witherspoon applies to Harvard and into the internship, she gives them a pink scented resume. Yep. And they look at it and go, it's pink and it's scented, but they remember it. So you have to understand, employers and recruiters look at a resume between 6 and 30 seconds, which means that they're probably looking at the top third to the top half of your first page of your resume. If something catches their attention, they're going to put you in the S file. So unless you've graduated from Harvard, Yale, Stanford, or the top 10 schools in the world, or you've worked for Google, Facebook, or Google, Meta, you know, Amazon there, where you're guaranteed a job, most of these things will cost you. So number one, using the default font on Microsoft Word, which is Times New Roman, Arial, or Calibri. Number two, using the black circles as your bullet points. You know, if you go to bullet, you can get a diamond, you can get an arrow, just something that slightly changes the perspective of the eyes. Putting on the top of your resume kind of skills or kind of history where you write, I have 8 years of experience, I'm hardworking, dedicated, committed. Again, fluffy information that nobody cares about. If right now you're struggling to find a job and you've taken a part-time or retail jobs just to make ends meet and pay the bills, and you put that right at the top of your resume, and let's say you're an engineer, you're an IT guy, I don't read the rest of your resume because the first thing I'm reading is retail, at which point I lose interest. So change or stop doing chronological functional resumes unless you've been in the same career for a very, very long time. And the worst mistake of all is that people list their duties and responsibility and say they have experience. They don't quantify it. If you've worked as a receptionist somewhere or you study to be a receptionist and you tell me that you know how to answer 60 calls a day with 12 different lines, I can measure 60 calls a day with 12 different lines. I cannot measure, I know how to answer the phone, right? And so if you think you're going to explain all this in the interview, part of the problem is you're not getting the interview because your resume is generic. Yeah. You know, if you use ChatGPT to go, I need a resume for this profession, ChatGPT is going to give you the most standard, most normal cookie cutter version of your resume. It will not tell your story. So I can say to you, Wendy, I'm a phenomenal salesperson. I know how to do B2B, B2C, account management, relationship building, lead generations. I've worked in retail. I've done door-to-door sales. I've worked in car sales. I've worked in private education. I've worked as a recruiter. I'm a great salesperson. Or I can say to you, I worked for a private college that before I came in generated $530,000 in sales for the entire year. In 1 month, I was able to generate $860,000 in sales for them.
Right.
Which one would convince you that I know how to do sales? So understand that the first examples in the sale with all the words B2B, B2C, those are the technical words that the algorithm of Indeed, AI systems, LinkedIn, and so forth need to score your resume in terms of matching to the potential job description. But if you don't quantify the results they produce, the significance of the results, the importance of it, nobody cares.
Right.
I've never met an accountant in my life that does not know how to do financial statements.
Yeah.
I've never met a teacher that doesn't know how to do lesson planning.
I mean, the bottom line is your resume and then your actual interview questions, if you ever make it that far, it is your sales sheet. So it has to have numbers, it has to have stats, it has to have results, it has to have the M in SMART, metrics. And I tell that to everybody. I need numbers, I need stats, I need how are you different than the person standing behind you? And if you don't put that on your resume, then you're not even going to get looked at. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in our next upcoming episode. With that said, thanks everybody for listening to episode 3 of our 5-part series on transforming the experience of securing employment. In our next episode, we're going to cover networking your way to success. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.